Good evening. We can do a little bit better than that, UTC. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm very happy to be here. Can you all give MPAC a round of applause? I want to thank them. I want to thank Danny so much for having me this evening. My name is Rashid Ali Cromwell. I'm your presenter for tonight. And the topic of our presentation is all we do is step, stroll, and hop. What is a Black Greek organization? That is a stereotype. It's a misconception. When you say misconception. So this misconception, miseducation, that's why we're using the hashtag MisEd. It's going to be very interactive, very engaging as we go along. Just to take a poll, how many people are in a Greek letter organization? Show of hands, raise your hand. How many people are not? Raise your hand. If you're not sure, that probably means you're not in a Greek letter organization. Whether you're in one, whether you are not, you will learn something from tonight. It's going to be very interactive, very engaging, and I'm very excited to be here. A little bit about myself. I joined my fraternity a very long time ago. I joined Omega Psi Phi, which is one of 5 Black Greek fraternities on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro. A&T is actually the largest historically Black college out of all 99 HBCUs. And a very long time ago, that was me all the way in the back. So some of y'all probably like, Mr. Rashid, I don't know if that's you or not. We can't really see your face. We can't really see. You got camouflage. We got boots. So UTC, I got an exclusive old school throwback. I'm going to show y'all from my Neo year, but y'all promise y'all can't laugh because it's going to hurt my feelings, all right? So don't laugh. All right, here we go. Neo year. It's so old, it just freezes. Look at it. Don't tell me. Oh, there it is. Okay. There it is, right there. Yeah. So that's me on the right a very long time ago. But I share that picture with you because I have a perspective of what it's like being a member of a Black Greek organization. And that's part of my perspective I want to share tonight. A little bit about my background. A&T, I told you, is the largest HBCU. It also graduates the most Black engineers out of any college or university in the country. And I grew up in Maryland, in the Baltimore area, and that's what actually drew me to A&T. But it draws a lot of people to A&T. How many people in here have a Facebook account? Show of hands, you got Facebook. I know it's old, y'all on IG and Snap, but we all had Facebook back in the day. So I got a call like a couple months ago, and they were like, yo, guess who's coming to campus? I said, who? They said, Mark Zuckerberg. I said, Mark Zuckerberg that founded Facebook? They was like, yeah. And so the guy in the middle, the only white guy in the picture right there, if you don't know who Mark Zuckerberg is, that's him. He actually came to A&T to speak. He had never been to an HBCU before, and of course he was big on technology. He actually hired some students, some interns, and then he went to see the bros after he went to present. So at a lot of HBCUs, some of the Black Greek organizations had spots, and he came down and the chapter showed him a good time. So that's a little bit about my perspective, where I come from and how I got here. The reason I started talking about Black Greek organizations, I actually started as an undergrad at A&T, and that helped shape my perspective, learning and talking about these organizations. I graduated from A&T. I went to law school in Texas. I clerked for a federal judge, actually in Houston, the Southern District of Texas, where y'all see all the flooding and everything right now, is actually exactly where it was. So I spent 4 years down there. Our hearts and prayers go out to the families that are in Houston. Came back to DC, did the big law firm thing for a while, and then I started teaching on a Black Greek organizations on different college campuses. So I had the chance, like Nora said, to go to dinner with MPAC here, and we had a lot of great and lively discussions. So this is one of my classes at Howard University in DC. At Howard, before you join any Black Greek organization, you have to go through this class called the Fraternal Leadership and Excellence series, which I taught for 5 years at Howard. I also taught it at Ohio State as well. So that's a little bit about my experience, why I'm here for you this evening. We're going to talk about 3 areas with Black Greek organizations that are on the screen. I want you to pull your phones out because we're going to stay connected. This is going to be interactive. So if you haven't had a chance yet, pull your phones out, pull your phones out, pull your phones out. Lock me in at Shidi Ali or at Harbor Institute. which is the education consulting firm I work with that brought me here today. We're going to need this as we go along because it's going to be very interactive. Speaking of being interactive, we're going to multitask a little bit. Let me get everybody to stand up real quick. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Before we begin, y'all, I like energy, I like excitement, I like engagement. So I want you to take 60 seconds to leave your section and go meet at least 3 people that you do not know. Go introduce yourself to them. Say, hey, how you doing? Good evening. What's going on? Hi, my name is... What Black Greek letter organizations are to talk about what they are not. I present to you Exhibit A. The person on the screen is a picture of who? Y'all remember this from back in the day? Somebody said Derwin Davis. Lord have mercy. Y'all went all the way back. Y'all went back to Derwin Davis. Well, what television show? The Game. But this isn't a picture of Derwin Davis from The Game. This is a picture of, actually the actor's name is Pooch what? Pooch Hall. From the movie Stomp the Yard 2, Homecoming. Stomp the Yard 2, Homecoming. So some of y'all looking at me like, Rashid, I didn't even know Stomp the Yard 2, Homecoming came out. Right? That's because it didn't last in the movies long and went straight to where? DVD, Netflix, Redbox, all of that. But just in case you missed it, it was actually the same exact thing as the first movie, Stomp the Yard. By show of hands, how many people remember this movie or saw it? Before you came to college, you saw Stomp the Yard. Okay, look around the room. Pretty much everybody in here has seen this movie. This is like a prerequisite before you go to school, is to see Stomp the Yard in school days. Or maybe just Stomp the Yard. But I'm going to ask you how many people saw it. I saw pretty much everybody raise their hand. But I'm going to ask what you think about the movie when you first saw it. Not now as a college student, but most of y'all were probably in middle school when this came out, high school, right? So back in the day. So think about what you were thinking when you saw it. For those of you that didn't, for some reason, see it or need a refresher, I'm about to show you a quick 60-second clip just so you can reimagine and re-envision what this movie was about. This is going to be our central point that we're going to talk about tonight. So I want y'all to check this out. Stomp the Yard.
Because we are repping that thing. Bang, bang,
that lit when y'all see the movie. Because y'all was over there like, damn. Y'all was reliving the whole thing. All right, so back in the day, Stomp the Yard. What did y'all think? Well, first of all, how many people liked it? I know y'all saw it, but be honest, when you first saw the movie, how many people liked it? You thought it was a good movie? Now that you look back on it, especially my D9 members, people that are members of Black youth organizations, what do you think about what you just saw now? Or anybody, what do you think about that movie now that you're older and you reflect back on that clip? Clearly, y'all still like it because y'all over there. Y'all feeling it. Yes, ma'am, what's your name?
My name is
Nicole, where are you from, Nicole?
Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro. All right. Murfreesboro in the house? All right, one person. We're going to hold it down, Nicole. We got you. Talk to us. What were you thinking when you saw that? Break it down for us.
Well, when I saw the clip, I've actually seen that shows similar
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've actually like that. I've seen that
Mhm.
being performed like at AGP
Mhm.
a couple weeks ago. Like, so people are picking up on those. Some of the stuff that's in the movie, and people are actually performing those. So that's what I.
Interesting. So it's very influential. People watched it, saw it, and they still doing bits and pieces of it. Okay, good. Give Nicole a round of applause. Good job, Nicole. Good job. Somebody on this side. Anybody want to add to what Nicole said? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was realistic? Did you think it was not realistic? Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Kelsey,
Kelsey, where are you from, Kelsey?
Tennessee.
Memphis. Is Memphis in the house? All right. Memphis. Okay, talk to me.
Even back then, even now, reflecting back on it, I love the energy of the people.
Okay. It was a very high energy movie. Like, it was intense. Everything they were doing, step in practice, everything, they was just excited, right? A lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, all the way across the board. So that's interesting when you see that. Give her a round of applause. Good job. The reason I started with this is because what's interesting, as popular as this movie is, as many things as influential as it is still to this day, AGP, as excited as people are, what's interesting when you look at the history of these organizations from the beginning, the inception, Alpha Phi Alpha being the first continuous undergraduate Black Greek organization. The year was anybody know? 06 was when it started. But you don't see anything about stepping, strolling, hopping, or step shows back when these organizations started. The reality is the mission, the purpose, the preamble, the constitutional bylaws, none of these organizations say anything about stepping or strolling. So it makes you think, well, why did they start? What's the purpose of these organizations? And when you look at when they start, it gives you a little bit more context and understanding to their true purpose. Can I get a volunteer to read this slide, Life in the Early 1900s? Let me hear from one of the brothers on this side. I heard a couple sisters here in the middle. Somebody on this side volunteered. Go ahead, brother. You smile. What's your name, man?
I'm Joseph.
Joseph, where you from, Joseph?
Memphis.
Memphis. All right. Everybody from Memphis up in here. Joseph. I ain't mad at it. I'm just saying. Talk to me. Life in the early 1900s.
Life in the early 1900s. The average life expectancy was 47 years. Only 8% of the homes had cell phones.
Stop for a second, Joseph. How many people got a phone? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Smartphone. Everybody got a smartphone. Back then, less than 10% of people had phones. Not smartphones. Phones where? At home, in their house. Nobody even has a phone like that at home anymore. 10% is like saying this first row, out of everybody that's in here tonight, is the only people that have phones at home. Context, think about it. Continue, Brother Joseph. Talk to us.
Max speed limit in the cities was 10 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Workers made $200 to $400 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And eggs were 14 cents a dozen.
All right. Give Joseph a round of applause. Good job, brother. What are my seniors? Show of hands, seniors. Graduating seniors. All right. Like two people put their hand down. All right, seniors, if I told you you got a job, $200, $400 a year waiting for you, what would you say? Rashid, you tripping. My cell phone bill is like $200 a month. I can't pay $200, $400 a year. But think about it, y'all. This was over 100 years ago. So things were very different. Context. It starts to see why these organizations were started. And when you put things in perspective, especially with regard to history and African American history, you begin to see what's going on in the early 1900s is a very difficult time. It's very challenging for people of color in this country in all forms, fashions, shapes, across the board. And what you start to see when these organizations begin, especially with Alpha Phi Alpha in the early 1900s, is this whole thing of a segregated society, separate but equal. Plessy versus Ferguson, Supreme Court case, 1896 puts this into motion, and it says if you're a black person in this country, you are not afforded the same opportunities as the white majority. And so you see signs like this that are present. This is legally segregation, legal discrimination on a local, state, and federal level. And so when these organizations begin, they start as fraternities and sororities, but they start especially based on the premise that they cannot join white fraternities and sororities at that time period. Hence Alpha Phi Alpha, which starts in 1906, starts at Cornell in upstate New York. It's an Ivy League school. But you see some of the founding members working in the IFC, or predominantly white fraternity frat houses, as part-time jobs. And they get this whole idea of what Greek life is supposed to be about. And they say, well, if you're not going to let me join your organizations, then we're just going to start what? Our own. And they lay this blueprint that all fraternities and sororities in Black Greek life, commonly called the divine what? 5 fraternities and 4 sororities start with. But they're premised on these same universal principles, one of which is scholarship / academic excellence. Nothing about stepping, nothing about strolling, nothing about entertainment. And you see the Kappa started in Indiana in 1911. Omega Psi Phi in the middle becomes the first Black Greek fraternity started on a historically black college campus. That black college campus is named what? Howard University. Howard starts 5 of the 9 organizations on their campus, including Phi Beta Sigma. The last fraternity to join NPAC, Iota Phi Theta, all the way on your right on the bottom, starts in 1963. But UTC, look at the images for a second. You don't see guys with t-shirts. You don't see guys with lanyards hanging out their pocket. You don't see guys with hats and all this stuff. These guys back then are looking sharp. They wearing suited and booted. You don't see any founder pictures of anybody with a t-shirt on. It's a different time, it's a different place, and it's serious. The organizations, they have purpose, they have meaning. And it's a special thing. Not to just be in the organization, but quite honestly, just to be a black person in college. You do know UTC in 2017, there's less than 30% of the American population that has a 4-year college degree. If you're African American or a person of color, that percentage goes down. Less than a third. Back then in the early 1900s, it was a very small percentage. And so you see this pride get incorporated into the organizations. You see this feeling, this purpose, this perspective. And the ladies say, hold on, fellas, you're not going to leave us out. From your left to right, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta Sigma Theta, and Zeta Phi Beta sorority all get started on what college campus? Howard University. Followed by Sigma Gamma Rho on your right, on the bottom right. The only Black Greek sorority started on a predominantly white institution's campus, which is Butler in Indiana. Again, this elegance, this pride, you know, they have this swag about them. And when you see this, you understand this is serious. Because, you know, they might be a little bit bougie back then. Like now y'all be like bad and bougie. They was bougie for real, right? but they was bougie with purpose. And so what you see is this serious perspective and this focus on something that's very different. And so while you see academic excellence, while you see brotherhood and sisterhood, you also see this tie to the community. Organizations like Delta Sigma Theta starts January 13th, 1913 in DC. 2 months after they start, you see the founders of the sorority being involved in what's called women's suffrage. Anybody know what the women's suffrage movement was or what it involved? Yes. What's your name, sis?
I'm Catherine.
Catherine, break it down for me. Women's suffrage, what did that mean?
Basically, women were marching for voting rights, and the only black women in the whole march were members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Absolutely, absolutely. Give her a round of applause. Good, good, good. So you see primarily in this picture, this is what this is, a huge march on Washington over 100 years ago. Actually, the Deltas celebrated this a couple years ago and reenacted this whole march. But the majority of the participants were white women during that time. Women didn't have the right to vote until about 1919. And so you see this through a constitutional amendment, them being involved, them being active, and that's that community essence, that community involvement that you see as present in these organizations. All of them from left to right, which is called the National Panhellenic Council, collectively 9 organizations, 5 fraternities, 5 sororities. This, I was telling the NPAC e-board when we were at dinner, this is actually outdated. They just changed this logo over the summer, I believe. They just changed this logo, so it no longer has the letters on top of it. But when it had the letters, this is the official logo representing all the organizations. It was always listed from left to right in Greek letter alphabetical order, not chronological order. If it was chronological founding order, what organization would be first? Good, Alpha Phi Alpha. But it's in Greek letter alphabetical order. So let's do a test, UBC. Greek alphabet. First Greek letter in the Greek alphabet is what? Followed by? Followed by? Gamma, followed by? It's quiet over here. What's going on over here? Y'all ain't saying nothing. That's not secret. That's just the Greek alphabet. You can study Greek, Latin, whatever. Look, over here in this section, they try to fake it. Yo, they like alpha, beta, then they like C, D, E, F. They just try to make stuff up. We don't know, Rashid. We don't know. We're not there yet. Y'all good. Y'all had it tight. Y'all straight. But what happens is this. The chapters actually begin. So when we say 5 chapters started at Howard, the first chapter is always in Greek letter alphabetical order. So the first undergraduate chapter is always named what? The alpha chapter. Are y'all following me? Then it's beta, and then once you get to the end, you have 2-letter chapters, and now in 2017, you have some 3-letter chapters, but it's because it goes in Greek letter alphabetical order. Here's a picture of the founders of NPAC, which were some of your founders in D9. And so they start this organization with the expectation that if you join each one of those organizations, then you also have a commitment to NPAC. Non-negotiable, not optional. And the reason they made it non-negotiable, not optional, because the Kappas would say, hey, wait a minute, we're in Indiana, but we're getting discriminated against just like the Alphas are getting discriminated against in New York. Just like the Omegas and Sigmas are getting discriminated against DC. So we're sharing this whole commonality, and we need an organization that's going to unify us and bring us together as one. Y'all follow me on that? So people that are interested, the expectation is, yes, you join the organization, but you also have a commitment to NPAC. So I told you this was going to be interactive. And so we have pull out your phone, we're going to take a quick quiz. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Do not Google this. If you Google it, I'm going to put you out the presentation. Somebody already knows. Hey, give me a second. So here's what we do. All right, pull out your phone, go to text. Text Harbor, INST, on the upper left-hand part of the screen, 1 to the number that you see. All right, so you texting that to 22333. First thing you do. You'll see a message that comes back up in your phone, says, hey, you connected, go. All right? Harbor, Harbor, INST and the number 1. You're going to text that to the number 22333. All right, so I'm going to give you a second to get locked in. Well, I'm supposed to say your own cell rates apply. so y'all be like, man, you trying to charge me for this? No, this is on your own. All right, so y'all get locked in. How many people got the message? Y'all good? Raise your hand. You straight? I only see a couple people. What's going on? Y'all slow? Y'all got T-Mobile? It's not working? What's going on? All right, I need y'all to get with the program. Stay focused. Don't go to IT. Stay focused. I need you to now vote. So if you think NPAC was founded in 1906, pick A, right? Which that should be number 1. Nora, when we did that, what did you pick? Where's Nora?
Right here.
When you did that, what did you pick number 3 for C when you were voting?
No, I just said C.
Oh, you just said C? Okay, so you just hit the letter. Y'all figured out, y'all voting already. Just hit the letter, all right? Is it A, 1906, B, 1970? Don't cheat. I'm looking at your phone. Y'all better not be Googling this. I want to see if you know it. I'm looking. Don't be trying to get a Google and just switch real quick. All right. D, some of y'all got flip phones. This ain't going to work, so don't even try it. All right, D, no shots fired. No shots fired. The struggle is real. It just ain't going to work. 1942. I'm going to give you 10 more seconds before I close this out. All right, who chose A? 9% of the people in here chose A. Don't be shy. Why'd y'all choose A? Why y'all choose it? Talk to me, brother. What's your name? CJ. What was you thinking when you chose A, 1906?
Well, I was thinking that since Alpha first was signed in 1906, that's the first one. I'm not sure.
Okay, no, that's cool, CJ. You guessed. You knew Alpha was first. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate that. Y'all give him a round of applause. I appreciate that. CJ's not right, but I appreciate the effort. Because he wasn't the only one. See, y'all tried to change it. He's like, CJ wrong, and y'all went back and changed the answer. It was 9%, and somebody just changed it. So 1906 is not yet, CJ. It's close. 1917. What y'all thinking? 11%. Just because all those people picked the third answer don't mean it's right, by the way. Where's my 11%? What was you thinking in 1917? Talk to me, sis. Just sound like a good year. Good year to start NPAC, Rashid, 1917. Why not? Probably not a good strategy, guessing, but that's not correct either, sis. That leaves us with 1930, 1942. Why can it not be 1942? I don't know, it just don't look right. Why is it not 1942? Why did y'all pick 1930? Because that's when it was founded, Rashid. That's why we picked it. Yes, it's 1930. Give yourself a round of applause, 1930. May the 10th, 1930. Now, I had a harder question I told Nora I was going to ask y'all, which is which fraternities were there and which sororities were there, because all of the D9 were not there when it first started. But I was like, that's too hard for y'all. I'll come back to that later. Anyway, quick pop quiz. I got to make sure y'all paying attention. The point from this first section is this. So here's an example of some of the fraternities. When you join the organization, you have nationally mandated programs. That means that the fraternity or sorority has chosen these community service-based oriented programs for you to give back. Why? Look at the list. So the Alphas do a great job with voter registration and voter education. National program that the organization picks. The Sigmas do a great job with regard to economic empowerment. And so all of their programming, which means once you join, you may do a program on campus. You may do one here in the local area in Chattanooga. Y'all follow me? Are y'all following me? This is the expectation. Not necessarily just step practice, oh, we're going to go to this party, it's going to be lit, we're going to get turned. No, no, no. That's part of it, but it's not all of it. Looking back at the purpose. And this is a big distinction between IFC Panhellenic, which are predominantly white fraternities and sororities, as compared to black fraternities and sororities, because we're about community service. And even though philanthropy is service, philanthropy means I'm giving what? Money to a particular cause. And so community service is more grassroots. I'm in the community. I'm doing different. You need both. It's not one is better than the other. It just gives you an understanding of why it is what it is. So the other thing I need to make sure we straight with this basic information is that there are different types of fraternities and sororities. So you have social organizations. NPHC is classified as a social organization, even though they're primarily about service. Does that make sense? Okay. But you also have professional organizations. Anybody know what a professional fraternity or sorority is? Yes, ma'am.
Like a Beta Psi business fraternity or Alpha Kappa Psi?
Absolutely. So a lot of times in your major, right? Any business majors, show of hands. What are my business majors? All right. So you have a fraternity that's in that. It might be professional. It might be honorary. Here's the problem. People start getting these things confused. So you think a social fraternity is a professional fraternity or vice versa. So you trying to join the business fraternity and you trying to do steps in the business fraternity. So what does that look like? Supply and demand. Like, I don't understand. Help me. But we get our wires confused and we start really mixing things up. Honorary fraternity, which means things like Phi Beta Kappa, honorary fraternity. You have different ones. So different ones means you can be in different things at the same time. Pop quiz number 2. Exhibit B, President William Jefferson Clinton. Take out your phones again, because I need to know which of these organizations is he a member of. Is it 1, Kappa Kappa Psi? Is it B, Phi Beta Kappa? Is it Phi Beta Sigma? Is it Alpha Phi Omega? Is it all of the above? Is it none of the above? 30 seconds. Y'all just picking anything. No. Girl, what should we pick? Just pick D, girl. Just pick D. Y'all just picking anything. All right. 5 more seconds before I close this. Pick one. All right. Interesting. 20, a quarter of y'all almost picked none of the above. That's not right. Because most of the people in this room picked C, Phi Beta Sigma. But Phi Beta Sigma is a predominantly black fraternity. How can he be white and be in a black Greek fraternity? Somebody help me out. Yes, in the back. You got your hand up? You just stretching. You good? Help me out.
No racial discrimination.
No racial discrimination. If you have the qualifications or what it takes to be in an organization, you're going to get picked. It might be predominantly black, but that doesn't mean it's exclusively black. Are y'all following? But another thing that's interesting is he did not join in an undergraduate chapter. There's different ways you can join black Greek organizations. You can join also in a what type of chapter? Graduate. Alumni or graduate chapter, which means you actually have to graduate before you join. Y'all getting quiet on me, for real. Don't be like, oh yeah, I ain't gonna join UTC, that chapter be tripping, they only talk to me, I'm gonna just wait till I leave. You gotta graduate first. Then you can join a graduate chapter, but that's still not how President Clinton joined. You also have an option as a what? Honorary member, which means you meet the qualifications and the organization decides that they want to send you an invitation to be in the organization. Honorary is always interesting because people just start making stuff up with honorary, right? So I was at campus one day, it was like, oh, Rashid, I heard Frederick Douglass was an honorary alpha. Bruh. Frederick Douglass died before Alpha Phi. I'm like, I hope you understand what you're saying. You just can't make stuff up as you go along. All right? So clearly C is right, which means F is not right. Just a little critical analysis, test taking skills thing. Sometimes you can do, by deduction, you can get the right answer by knowing what's not the right answer. So if you know C is right, you know F can't be right. But that doesn't mean that E is not correct. Kappa Kappa Psi is an honorary band fraternity. Bill Clinton used to play what instrument? Anybody know? Saxophone. All right? He is a member of Kappa Kappa Psi. Phi Beta Kappa is an honorary fraternity. It was the first Greek letter fraternity founded at William and Mary, 1787. He is a member of Phi Beta Kappa. That's honorary. Honorary Phi Beta Sigma, social, Alpha Phi Omega, service. He is a member of all of them. Yes. Is anybody confused right now? I need to make sure we're on the same page. This does not mean you can join Phi Beta Sigma and Kappa Alpha Psi. You can't join two different social fraternities. Y'all follow? But you can join an honorary and social. You can join a professional and social. It actually, true story, I was at an MPAC convention one year, and then the sorority was telling me a story about, when you die, if you're a financially active member, they have what's called a memorial service for you. So this lady had a memorial service, everybody's at the funeral, and so your organization has a special, service. So, if you're in, say, Zeta Phi Beta, all the Zetas will come up and they'll do a special song or something. Well, it was interesting because they had one sorority that came up, and then they had a different sorority that came up for the memorial service. So evidently, she joined two different social organizations that were in PAC. Yeah, y'all already know black funerals are dramatic already. Y'all gonna need additional stuff to make the funeral more dramatic. I don't know what happened after that, but it probably wasn't good, UTC. Only join one. People are already emotional, they dying. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. Look, here's the thing. The point of the matter is this. Why should you join? We told you purpose. Let me hear you say purpose. You know why they exist. We're in the community. We're about academic excellence. But a practical piece is this is a powerful network for you. So my seniors, let me see your hands again. Show a hand. When you graduate, he's like, I'm graduating right here, Rashid. When you graduate, you will see other people from other places, and you need a network to help you get to whatever area you're going to get to. Everybody isn't from the same hometown. Everybody's not from Memphis. Everybody didn't go to UTC. So you need to connect. So for me, when I graduated from A&T, I told you I went to law school. I get to my first law school interview. Excuse me, not law school, law job interview, right? It's an internship. Associates here over the summer, and 300 attorneys, 4 African Americans. 2 of the 4 were in Black Greek organizations. One was a Delta, she went to Spelman. One was a Kappa, he went to Clemson. HBCU, PWI. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi. I go over at HBCU. Doesn't matter, it's all love, all network, we all D9, all unity, we good. I, UTC, put that I was a member of Omega Psi Phi on my resume. So I forgot that the people interviewing knew what organization I was in. I knew what organization they were in because I did my what? Research. I forgot that they knew what organization I was in. So I'm walking up to the interview expecting the D9 love, and I come in there and I say, hey, what's your name, bro? Denzel. All right, so say Denzel is there. I was like, hey, Denzel, what's going on? Denzel is Malcolm. I said, I'm Rashid. He says, hi, I'm Denzel, but I'm really Malcolm for this example, right? And then he looked me, Malcolm looked me dead in the eye and said, I see that you joined the wrong fraternity. That was the first words out of his mouth. My heart hit the floor like, boom. I was devastated. Y'all ever been on a date and like the first 2 minutes of the date, you know it's going nowhere, like fast? You sitting in your mind and like your profile picture don't look nothing like you look right now. Right? This is what you say in your mind. You're like, this thing is not going to work. So you're trying to figure out how you will get out of this situation that you put yourself in. That's how I'm feeling right now at this interview. Like, he already done, shots been fired, and we didn't even open the thing. I'm like, it's over. So, to save myself the time, I start packing up my stuff. In the middle of the interview, he's up there talking, oh, this is our firm, and this is great, and blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of tuned it out. I'm up there packing up my folder. And you know when you mess up and you're talking to yourself? So I was like, dang, I can't believe I left this on the top of my resume. I ain't going to do that no more. I'm not listening to nothing he's saying. I pick up my little briefcase. I start walking out the interview. I'm like, I'm done while he's talking. Because I'm like, it's a wrap. It's over. Malcolm, I kid you not, true story, he runs to me. He's like, come here, Rashid, come here. He's like, I was just playing with you. I'm like, bruh, I'm emotional right now. I need a job, brother got student loan. Don't play with me like this, Mr. Malcolm. But the thing about it is it's the camaraderie and it's the network. Let me say network. You can rely on that. But it becomes harder, D9, if you don't talk to the network you already have right now on campus. Because what can happen in a bad way is I feel some kind of way about another organization, or I'm doing something that my prophytes or old heads did, and I'm carrying it down, and I don't talk to them. No, brotherhood and sisterhood is not limited to a particular chapter. It's not related to a particular organization. And what happens is you condition yourself to not like people. That starts to spill out when you graduate and you don't know why you can't connect with somebody else. You ever met somebody that's prejudiced before, or they racist and it slips out by accident? So you talking to them, be like, hey, how you doing? You be like, hey. And they be like, yeah, I got some friends that are colored. You be like, what? Did you just say colored? They don't know, right? It just slips out. And that's what happens when you start to corrupt the network. You start to be prejudicial to other people in other orgs and you don't even realize it. What if I was on campus and I felt some kind of way about the Kappas? What if I was on campus at A&T and I felt somewhere, so when I get out and I meet somebody that I need, it doesn't work well? People that are interested, the practice ground. Talk to everybody. Don't change who you are after you join the order. Remember where you came from and keep that camaraderie moving. Here's the takeaway. Take a picture with your phone so you can have it as notes later on. It's very simple. First part of this is clear. When we talk about the purpose, let me hear you say purpose. We got academic excellence, we got focusing on the community, and we got leveraging this network that we call success. Scholarship, service, and success. That's what we're all about. And so what we need to do to make sure we preserve our purpose, stay refocused on our purpose, get back to our purpose is this. If you're interested, I need you to do step 1, which is focus on what? GPA. Graded. Point what? Average. Any freshmen in here? Show of hands, freshmen. I love it. Give our freshmen a round of applause. Class of 2021. Lord have mercy. I know that sounds hard, but that's real. Freshman class 2021. Here's the thing, 2021. I'm glad you're here. You're getting great information. You're getting a good start. But before you start really researching organizations, I want you to just focus on school first. And the reason I say that is because as you matriculate, as you go through this thing called college life, every year it's harder to raise your GPA. Talk to my juniors and seniors, they know what I'm saying. If they can go back to freshman years, summer school ain't gonna do it for you all the way. Yes. They over there like, yes, yes. Listen to what I'm saying. Focus. And everything else will fall into place. The second thing with that focus is temper your excitement, your enthusiasm, your interest with more information about the organizations. It's not enough to say, oh, my auntie's in this sorority, or oh, my roommate is in this fraternity, or oh, my friend is in this. It's not going to work. Just because your friend is in it doesn't make you a good potential member for that org. I want you to know what that organization is about. So again, especially 2021, take a picture with this with your phone. These are 3 books. Because just because you Google it doesn't make it true. So you can do your research and see a whole lot of stuff, but it might not necessarily be true. Let's take a quick YouTube quiz. So, my freshmen especially taking a picture of this slide. Actually, D9, I would like you to take a picture too because these are books. This is an evolutionary process. Just because we join doesn't mean we stop learning, right? We continue our learning, we continue our growth. 3 great books, Black Greek 101. I know you had a Black Greek 101 program. Dr. Walter Kimbrough, member of Alpha Phi Alpha, current president of Dillard University. Awesome resource to be able to understand some of the traditions and customs that we deal with. Divine Nine, Lawrence Ross, and I think the other one up there, Rick, yes, talking about dancing without shoes. It talks about the history of stepping. Those are great, really, resources to be able to have a good understanding. So go to YouTube for me real quick. Go to YouTube for me real quick. And I want you to put in 3 words. So my members, put in the 3 words of your organization. Alpha, Kappa, Alpha Psi, whatever your organization is, put it in the search box, right? Don't play the video, because every time I do this, somebody inevitably starts playing videos and everybody can hear it. Don't play it. I just want you to look at the top 10 videos and tell me a summary of what you see. Not yet. My people that are interested, we're going to do an exercise. I want you to put what organization you're interested in. Don't show nobody your phone. Just put it in there. Look. Don't tell nobody. Don't start texting people. Don't do that. Just this is your little secret. This is what y'all do anyway when y'all go home. Y'all be Googling all that stuff. Look. Just look right now. All right? Put in the 3 words that you're interested in and then look. Don't say anything. Just look at the top 10 videos. Now, D9, if you had to give me a summary of what you see in those top 10 videos, theme-wise, summary-wise, how would you categorize that? What do you see?
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Yard show, steppers, probate. Okay, she got one that was found today. That's cool. Everybody else, what y'all come up with? Delta Sigma Theta, what y'all come up with? What's the theme? All 10 videos. What y'all see? Yard shows, steppers, probates. Zeta Phi Beta, what y'all see? Probate. Y'all ain't even look at the phone. They just looked at me, Rashid. Probate. Yard shows.
Provocation.
One said education. I'm not mad at it. Might be a video on there. But overwhelmingly, what you see, and this is the takeaway from this, because the first thing y'all say when you ask, somebody says, well, I'm interested in your organization, you say, go do your what? Research. In 2017, go do your research means YouTube/Google. Which means when I pull this stuff up on YouTube, what I see is not necessarily consistent with what I just said. Are y'all following? That's why these books are here. It helps navigate and manage the expectation. Take the time to really read and research from legitimate resources to better understand what's going on. For my D9, here's your action items. We about scholarship? Let's talk about it. Every chapter meeting, let's try that. I used to go to chapter meetings, y'all. It would be like, no, we wasn't even in school. We was talking about everything except school. Where the party at, where we going, road trip, where we going. This is our meetings. Nobody said anything about what? School. That's funny, because we all in what? School. And if you got your LBs back, and you got your LSs back, line brother, line sister, it doesn't mean just if, oh, there's a problem. It might mean, oh, in school we need to make sure we support each other. The way you support each other is make sure that's consistently a priority. So D9, my challenge to you is in the rest of your chapter meetings, for the rest of the year, put academics. Don't gotta be no presentation. How y'all doing in school? What do you need help with? What classes are you struggling with? We can no longer go through semester and not have conversations about what's really in front of us. Other thing is this. Make sure that you think about joint council study hall. So maybe NPAC can do a study hall for everybody once a month, a couple times a month, to be able to set that expectation.